All right. So, now, you guys were working, I gave you credit. You guys were, even though you might not have got it all done yesterday, as long as you kept working, I gave everybody credit. Okay, so this first one, you're given angle A is 25, and side B, and remember, the side B is opposite angle B, and side C is opposite angle C. Side A is opposite angle A, okay? Remember, the capital letters are the angles, and the small case letters are the sides, right, workmen? Yeah. So we got the side angle side situation. So the only thing we can find is side A. Okay? So we're going to go A squared equals B squared, 12.5, plus C squared, 13.6, minus 2 times B times C. And I was running out of cosine of the angle. Remember, when we take sine or cosine, it's of the angle, not the side, right? So I can put, when it's this situation, I can put all of that in my calculator, no matter what calculator you got. Oops, that's not the one. Come on, there we go. All right, so 12.5 squared plus 13.6 squared minus 2, 12.5, 13.6, cosine 25. So this check, make sure you got all the numbers in right. Okay, just hit enter. Okay, so that's 33.065. Remember, that's what A squared equals. So I have to find the square root of that to find how long side A is. So you can go second square root, hit the squared button, second answer. So you don't have to type extra stuff in. So get 5.75. So just go into tenths. Let's round to tenths. That would be 5.8. So I got all three sides now. I have to get the other two angles. Now remember, after you use law of cosines, and we go over to use law of sines, what we're going to do now, we find the smaller of the two angles remaining. Okay? So the shortest side is 12.5, so the smallest angle is angle B. So that's the one I want to find next. Okay? If you don't, sometimes things get messed up. Okay? Not every time, but sometimes. So that's what we always do it that way. It doesn't get messed up. Okay? So we're going to do 5.8, what we just figured out, over the sine of angle A, which was 25, equals side B, which is 12.5, over the sine of angle B. Okay? So when you solve proportions, you cross multiply instead of equal. Okay? So when I cross multiply, I have 12.5 times the sine of 25 equals 5.8 times the sine of B. I want to find out what B is, So I'm going to move the 5.8 over to the other side. So I divide it over because on the right here, I'm multiplying it. So this 12.5 sine the 25 divided by 5.8 is what I put in my calculator. Make sure you close off your parenthesis after sine. Divided by the 5.8, that gets us a decimal, 0.9108. Remember, that's the sine of angle B. So to find angle B, we have to do, inverse sine of that. That'll be what angle B is. So what we do on our calculator is second sine, the inverse, second answer, so I don't have to type it all in. I get 65.6 to the nearest 10. So if you did, if you did 5.75 instead of 5.8, you're going to be a little bit off. It would have been 66.7. So again, as long as you're showing your work, I can tell what you're doing. Any questions so far? So 65.6 is angle B.
How would you have gotten to 66.7?
If you had 5.75 instead of 5.8 for A. So it depends how you round it. But if you just always round to tenths, and don't round until, after you take the square root or after you do the second sine, second answer, or second cosine, second answer, round to the tenths. Then we'll all be very close to having the same thing. Now, since I have two angles, to find the third angle, we always just add the two together and subtract from 180, right? Because always triangles, the three angles add up to 180. So I already have the 65.6, so I add 25. Right, there we go. And then I'll go 180 minus that answer. So second answer, so you have to type it in again. So 89.4 is, to the nearest 10, is that angle C. So those three red answers are what I got. Again, some of you put 5.7 yesterday. Some of you put 5.75. So your answers to your angles are a little bit different. But to show your work, I'll be able to tell that you did it right or not. Okay? Questions? We okay? Again, now's the time to ask, right? Okay then. Number 2, I gave you all three sides. Side, side, side now. Okay. All right, so side A is over here, opposite angle A. And side B is down here, opposite angle B. And side C is over here, opposite angle C. Now, in this situation, the side, 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 Tanner, which one do I find first? Yeah, the biggest angle. Okay? Right, Wagner? So the biggest angle is opposite the biggest side. So angle B is the one I'm going to find. So that means you're going to use the one that's B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine of angle B. All right, that's the one you're going to use. All right, and make sure you put the right numbers. in the right spot. Okay, so B is 5.1, and A is 4.3, C 4.8, and we're going to get cosine of B by itself. Okay, I have to get that cosine of B alone. Okay, so you can't put all of this in like you did on the last one. Okay, zoning out, some back here, okay? So, now I've got all the numbers here, I have it written down. 5.1 squared is 26.01, and I just did this answer here. These two together is 41.53. And then these three together is 41.28. And then times the cosine of B. Okay? So here's what I do in my calculator on this type of problem. I do the 4.3 squared plus the 4.8 squared. There's that 41.53. Then I take the 5.1 squared and I subtract that answer because I know I'm bringing it to that side. Okay? So when I subtract the 41.53, I get negative 15.52. The negative, that's where that negative 15.52. Now remember, this negative 41.28 is being multiplied by the cosine of B. So when I move the negative 41 over, I have to divide it over. So that's where some of us were making a mistake yesterday. All right, so in my calculator, I've got that negative 15.51. I divide it by negative 41.28. That gives me that decimal, 0.3760 if I round it. Again, I don't round it, though. Remember, we're going to take inverse cosine of that to find what angle B is. All right, so here's where I go. Now remember, we're using law of cosines here. So it's second cosine, second answer. So we get 67.9 degrees for angle B. That's when I do my rounding. All right, at this point. So it's a 1 after the 9, so it stays 0.9. If it was a 5 or bigger, I'd make it 68. Okay? So I got that. Questions? We should be able to solve that equation for cosine of B. All right? Just a regular equation, but sometimes we forget that that's multiplication there. All right, so which of the two remaining angles am I going to find, A or C? A, because it's the smaller one, right? Every time you go from law of cosines to law of sines, find the smaller one. Okay, so I'm gonna go 5.1, side B, over the sine of angle B, 67.9, equals 4.3 side A over the sine of angle A. So we'll cross multiply and divide. Okay, so I'm gonna go 4.3 times the sine, 67.9, close it up, divided by 5.1. That gives me that decimal. So now I'm gonna go second sign, second answer, because I'm using law of sines now. So sometimes we're forgetting which one to use, all right? Second sign, second answer. We get 51.4. When I round it. All right, I'm gonna add 67.9 to that. And subtract it from 180 to get my third angle. 60.7. So there's your three angle measures for number 2. Any questions? Those are the two types, right? Okay. We're good? Luch, you all right? JP? Okay. Again, make sure your calculator's in degree mode, right? And you should be good to go. Number 3 is a side angle, side 1. You have to find angle or side B first because you're given side or angle B. So you should get 110 for angle or side B. And then after that, you're going to find side A or angle A using the law of sines, and you should get 55.5 for angle A. And for angle C, then 76.5. Does anybody need me to do that? Okay. Number 4 is another one like number 2, a side, side one. C is 120, that's the biggest side, so I have to find angle C here. All right? And I do exactly what I just did on this last number 2 here. All right? Angle C comes out to be 106.8 degrees. Okay? Then I would find angle A because it's the smallest angle, using my law of sines. It comes out to be 28.6 degrees. And then add those two together, A and C, and subtract from 180, and you get 44.6 degrees for angle B. Does anybody need me to go through that one? One of those again, I can. But if you understand the 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to do the same way. Okay, number 5 is another side angle, side one. So I gave you angle B, so we're going to find side B, and it comes out to be 40.1. And then we're going to find angle A because it's the smaller of the two. And I got 39.97, so I should have made it a 40. We're going to tenths. So then angle C would have been, what, 55.9. So I'm going to put 56, which is fine. Questions on 5? Number 6. I don't know if I have a parallelogram in here or not. I guess not, so I'll draw one by freehand here. So parallelogram is like a rectangle, this kind of slanted, right? You guys should know what that looks like. Okay? And it says, I got a 55 centimeter side, so the shorter one would be 55, the longer one is 71. And it says the larger angle measures 106. So is the one up here that I'm pointing to larger, or the one down here larger? One up here, right? So that's the 106. Oops, not 160, sorry. Okay, the diagonal is this red line. Okay? Just find the length of diagonal. So you don't have to find everything. All right, you just have to find that red line. Okay, so it's side angle side. All right? So I'll just call this x. So x squared. Do it under here so we got room. X squared equals the other two sides squared added minus 2 times the other two sides cosine of the angle. So again, you put all that in, and that's x squared, which was 10,218.7. And then what do you got to do to find the length of it? Square root it, right? And when you square root that, 101.1. I guess that would be centimeters if we label it. And that's all you had to do. You didn't have to find the other two angles. Some of you did, which is okay, but you don't have to. Right, Hannah?
Yeah.
Right, Matt? So, is there any questions? Are we prepared, Michael? Holly?
How do you think you don't have the angle, it's just like how would you
Say that again?
if you have, you don't have the angle you're looking for, you just have an idea or something. Is what you're saying about doing it, so it's like one taking them.
All right, so you're looking at number 2 and 4 where you don't have any angles? All right, so number 2 is one of those, right? Okay, you understand how we get to here or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you get to this point, okay? There we go. So you got that decimal, 0.3760, after you did all the work, okay? So to find the angle, you have to hit second, and since this is law of cosines, whoops, I gotta clear that out, sorry. 0.3760, enter, so that's like my answer. All right, then you go second cosine, second, and this negative is the answer. So instead of typing that in, the calculator puts it in for you. And then that'll tell you the angle measure. Is that the question you want me to answer? Any others? Okay, so again, I don't have any more. If you guys feel like you're ready, I'm good. All right. So tomorrow quiz, and then you get a break for a week, right? Again, I have on on your canvas, I have all the answers done. If you wanna check something, if you didn't quite get something right.